Sadie Rice, a former royal maid now 35 years old, has finally spoken out about her time serving Prince William and his family, and what she shared is nothing short of shocking. Having spent 2 years within the walls of the Cambridge residence, Rice is now revealing the harsh realities behind palace life. What drove this dedicated professional to leave one of the most coveted positions in British society? Her story uncovers a side of royal life that the palace would rather remain behind closed doors. Unbearable Hall unveiled. The truth beneath royal walls.
I would say I'm getting better at cooking. Kate would say I'm getting a lot worse.
I didn't give you enough chance to practice, though, maybe.
No, that is true.
Hold on to your seats, because you are about to find out why, truly, all that glitters is not gold. You see, working for the royal family would be a dream come true for many, but not for Sadie Rice. Okay, at first, she claimed it was, but over time, she realized it wasn't like how it was portrayed in fairy tales. It was totally different. Let's head to the peaceful section of the English countryside, Unbearable Hall, a secluded haven for Prince William and Duchess Catherine, offers 10 bedrooms and expansive gardens. It is indeed an ideal escape from the public eye.
Unbearable Hall had been William and Kate's main residence. The estate was gifted to the couple by late Queen Elizabeth II.
But behind the polished doors of this royal retreat, a deep secret was hidden. It was something that no one saw coming. For years, the secret remained hidden until a former royal maid, now 35 years old, felt the need to speak up. This secret will be revealed soon. Keep watching. Sadie Rice is known for her gifted hands. She spent 2 years working at Unbearable Hall, going about her task like no one's business. She cleaned grand rooms, polished silverware used by royals, maintained the home to perfection, and of course, prepared special meals for royals and guests, if any.
It's cleaned every day, so we really look after it. We look after over 1,000 items on the state floor alone.
Her yearly salary of £35,000 seemed fair for working with such a famous family. But as the saying goes, not all that glitters is gold. Especially when what glitters is a royal household, Sadie was pretty good at what she does. Her credentials spoke about things her colleagues wished they were. Before Sadie joined the Cambridges, she had worked in royal households across Europe, including with the Norwegian royals, and even Queen Elizabeth herself.
Indeed, I have drawn great comfort and inspiration from the relentless enthusiasm of people of all ages.
With such a resume, she was the perfect fit for the Cambridge household. However, she had to break her silence as soon as she discovered that working in the royal family wasn't as glamorous as it seemed. "This is so much different from what fairy tales made me believe," she once said, according to a source. The reality was far from what fairy tales had led her to believe. There were no magical moments or easy days. Instead, Sadie found herself in a constant whirlwind of high expectations, demanding schedules and a life that felt like it was slowly slipping away.
It's the sheer scale of it all, I think. We're very busy, but everyone works together, so we all get it done in a nice time.
The pressure was overwhelming. Tasks that seemed manageable at first quickly became a never-ending cycle of stress, with little time to breathe. She was choked, and not in the good sense. Eventually, it all became too much for Sadie. She knew she had to walk away, but that decision wasn't easy. It wasn't just about the job. It was about everything that came with it. The dream of working with royalty quickly turned into a reality, then a nightmare that forced her to face a tough truth about what it meant to work for one of the world's most famous families. Let's take a look at how the royal housekeeper became a shadow of herself when working with Prince William and his family. The moment everything changed.
Want to work for Prince William and Kate Middleton? Well, here's your chance, but you've got to be able to do a lot.
What exactly does a royal household expect from its staff? On the surface, it seems like a simple question, but the reality is far more complex. The job position was advertised in 2015. The royal couple, Prince William and Princess Kate, detailed the main duties of the housekeeping job: cleaning all areas of the house to a high standard, caring for and maintaining the homeowner's clothing, cleaning silverware and glassware, purchasing groceries and general provisions for the house, and dealing with deliveries.
But it's not all elaborate renditions of Be Our Guest from Beauty and the Beast. Oh no, there will be doggy duty.
The job description also stated 37 working hours a week. Yeah, right. This job description might seem like a normal, usual task. Not quite. Each task had many principles one had to follow, and Sadie knew this, thanks to her time with Norway's Crown Prince Haakon and his wife, Crown Princess Mette-Marit, and the late Queen herself. She was ready, or so she thought. Working for the royals is not just about completing tasks. It's about giving up parts of your life. For Sadie, the job description never mentioned that her personal time would gradually vanish, or that the lines between work and life would blur to the point where they became nearly impossible to distinguish. The standard duties were demanding enough. Grocery shopping meant not just picking up items, but selecting the finest ingredients for meals that would be served to the future monarchs. Cooking required an understanding of specific dietary preferences, potential allergies, and royal tastes. Cleaning wasn't just about maintaining a tidy home. It was about preserving precious historical artifacts and priceless possessions. Laundry involved handling clothing worth far more than her monthly salary with perfect care. All of these had to be done with a delicate balance. Royal staff are expected to be invisible, present only when needed, and then forgotten when not. They are the ghosts of the royal household. But what made the job truly difficult was an expectation that wasn't written anywhere. The loyalty required from staff members extending far beyond professional obligations. The royal family expected their staff to always say yes, always accommodate, and always place the family's needs above their own. This was not just a job. It became a lifestyle where personal sacrifice was often required. Let's not fail to mention that, despite the heavy demands, there are certain advantages to being part of the royal household. Serving royalty opens doors to opportunities, and the prestige of having worked for such an esteemed family can lead to better prospects in the future. However, the question Sadie eventually had to face was, what's the true cost of such a position? As the expectations mounted, she realized just how much it was taking from her life. Walking away from the crown. Every major life change begins with one pivotal moment, the instant you realize something must change. For Sadie Rice, that moment arrived after 2 years of working for the royal family. From 2015 to 2017, it wasn't just that the job was taking up her time, it was taking over her entire life. She could not attend birthday parties, meet up with her longtime friends and family.
Princess of Wales have shared a rare video of Prince George's 12th birthday celebrations.
It became difficult for her to focus on a different part of her life. She just had to let go and move on, an insider source said. The demands had become all-consuming, leaving her with little room for herself. So she made a decision that would shock everyone. She gave her notice. The insider revealed that despite attempts to persuade her to stay, Sadie was resolute. It's their loss, the source said, hinting at offers made to retain her services, but some choices can't be swayed by salary or benefits. Sadie's decision wasn't about the perks. It was about reclaiming her time, her freedom, and her identity. It was a turning point that transcended the typical career crossroads. Leaving the royal family wasn't an easy choice. It meant walking away from a position many would envy, stepping out of a world filled with prestige, history, and glamour.
In the Caribbean, some people want the royal family to provide reparations for their role in slavery.
It was the kind of opportunity most people could only dream of, but for Sadie, it was more than that. Her resignation wasn't fueled by anger or frustration. It was a decision based on careful reflection, weighing the cost of what she was losing against the value of what she was gaining. And in the end, her personal life became the most important thing to her. They will regret losing Sadie, the insider continued. Finding someone like her is incredibly rare. Someone who can balance competence and discretion while understanding the intricate boundaries of royal service. Inside royal circles, this is no small compliment. But it wasn't just the adults who would miss her. Prince George and Princess Charlotte were reportedly sad to see her go. Children remember those who show them care and kindness, and Sadie made an undeniable impression on them.
William and Kate have always put the privacy of their children first.
This wasn't just about being great at her job. It was a revelation to the kind of person she truly was. Her absence would mark not only the loss of a highly skilled employee, but the absence of someone who had quietly and profoundly touched the lives of those she served. What broke her? What made her quit? What made her take her final stand and say, "I have had enough"? The 35-year-old former royal maid finally broke her silence on Prince William. Life in the palace, lost time. What does it truly mean to serve royalty? On the surface, we imagine a life full of glamour, privilege, and proximity to history.
The image of the monarchy in some ways is more important than anything, and by all respects, they have failed.
The idea of living in castles, preparing lavish meals for royals, and witnessing moments that shape the world sounds like a dream come true. But for Sadie Rice, the reality was far from that fantasy. It was a world that demanded far more than she ever anticipated, both physically and emotionally. A typical day for Sadie began long before the royal family stirred from their slumber and extended well into the night after they'd retired for the day. Her mornings started with meticulous planning, organizing breakfast, stocking the kitchen with fresh produce, and preparing meals suited to the royal family's particular tastes. This was no ordinary meal prep. Every ingredient had to be perfectly selected, ensuring only the finest would do. But it didn't end there. Cleaning was far more than a quick sweep around the house. It was an exhausting, detail-oriented process that required maintaining royal standards of cleanliness, polishing silverware that had been in the family for generations, dusting priceless antiques, and ensuring every room was perfect without ever being noticed.
This is the largest room in Buckingham Palace. This is where the Queen hosts all her fanciest dinner parties.
Laundry wasn't as simple as loading a washing machine. Each garment had to be treated with the utmost care, selecting the right temperature for delicate fabrics, pressing items with precision, and handling garments worth more than her monthly salary as if they were fragile treasures. Grocery shopping, too, wasn't just about picking up essentials. It involved sourcing the finest cuts of meat, the freshest vegetables, and ingredients that met the family's exacting preferences. Every detail mattered, and all of this was done with the utmost discretion. Sadie had to ensure that every choice she made aligned with the family's preferences she was expected to keep strictly confidential. In addition to these regular duties, there were always the last-minute demands.
Never before have there been so few working members of the royal family.
Unexpected changes, urgent requests, and special preparations for guests or events seemed to pop up at the most inconvenient times. And no matter what Sadie was already working on, each new request had to be met with the same level of urgency and precision. But it wasn't just the physical demands that took their toll. Sadie was also expected to give more of herself emotionally. The royal family needed her calm, her composure, and her unwavering efficiency. No matter what was happening in her personal life or how tired she might be, there was no room for fatigue or stress to show. She was to remain pleasant and professional at all times, no matter the circumstances. Her emotional labor, the constant need to maintain a serene and polished demeanor, was just as taxing as the physical demands of the job. After leaving her position, Sadie confided in a close friend, "I need to make this public. People need to understand what it's really like." Her words weren't driven by bitterness or revenge or a desire for attention. They were about shedding light on an institution that is often idealized and cloaked in mystery. "There were days when the Duchess will apologize," Sadie told a colleague after she left. Sadie's desire for honesty wasn't about airing grievances, but about unveiling the unseen side of royal service, a side few ever hear about. The weight of the job wasn't just in the daily tasks, it was in the psychological toll. Sadie carried royal secrets that never saw the light of day. Her ability to maintain confidentiality was a constant mental burden, and the need for discretion meant constantly watching what she said, to whom, and when. Above all, the loyalty demanded of her meant that the royal family's needs would always come first, no matter the cost to her own well-being. In the end, Sadie's departure wasn't just about stepping away from a demanding job, it was about reclaiming her life, her privacy, and her sense of self. What exactly was the secret she had held back during her time adjusting to royal perfection? Let's take a look. Balancing the unbearable. Life behind royal perfection. The royal household operates like a finely tuned machine, precise, orderly, and powered by countless behind-the-scenes efforts. What most people don't realize is that staff members like Sadie do much more than manage household tasks. They're responsible for managing emotions, navigating delicate interpersonal dynamics, and balancing personal loyalty with the relentless demands of their roles. There were days when the Duchess would apologize for adding another task to my list, Sadie reportedly told a colleague after leaving her position. While the recognition was there, the truth was that the demands of royal life couldn't be ignored, regardless of how much work it required. This glimpse into the reality of her job reveals a crucial truth. Awareness of the strain doesn't always lead to change. The Cambridge's public appearances may have been polished, but behind the scenes, staff like Sadie worked tirelessly, often to the point of exhaustion. Even seemingly simple events like a garden party required days of meticulous planning.
Is a really special occasion for most people, privilege of being invited to a Buckingham Palace garden party.
A charity function meant reshuffling schedules and working around last-minute travel or official events, transforming the household into a chaotic flurry of reorganization. But the most exhausting part wasn't the physical labor, it was the emotional toll. Staff had to balance not just tasks, but also moods, worries, and the royal family's ever-evolving concerns. When Prince William faced pressure from senior royals, that tension trickled down through the ranks. Similarly, when Duchess Catherine worried about the privacy of their children, those concerns became top priorities.
Huge amount of sympathy for Princess Catherine. She's a mother of 3 in the prime of her life.
Shaping the staff's daily responsibilities. Former royal household employee Marion Crawford once wrote, "In service to the crown, you learn to read rooms before entering them." This heightened awareness and the ability to anticipate needs before they were spoken was what made Sadie exceptional at her job. It was also the very reason the position became unsustainable. One moment that stood out came during preparations for a state dinner.
This state visit is an expression of the deep respect and friendship between Spain and the United Kingdom.
Just hours before guests arrived, Prince William requested a last-minute change to the seating arrangement. While the request itself was understandable, it set off a chain of reactions that impacted everything, from the arrangement of place settings to security protocols. Despite the pressure, the staff, including Sadie, managed to handle it all flawlessly. But at what personal cost? "You're always calculating," shared another former palace employee who worked alongside Sadie. "Can I take this weekend to visit my sister? Will that clash with their schedule? If I ask for time off now, will it seem disloyal when they need me the most?" These constant mental calculations created an invisible burden, weighing more heavily than any physical task. What makes Sadie's story particularly striking is that by all accounts, Prince William and Duchess Catherine were kind and considerate employers who never intended to overwork their staff.
If she can do something about that, if she can take control, then she should do that.
The issue wasn't malice or a lack of care. The problem lay in the system itself, a system built on absolute availability, where the needs of the royal family always came first, and personal boundaries were an afterthought. When Sadie finally walked away at the age of 35, It wasn't just about her personal circumstances, it was a bigger question that the monarchy has yet to fully confront. How can centuries-old traditions of royal service adapt to modern understandings of work-life balance without sacrificing the essential functions of the monarchy itself? In walking away, Sadie posed a challenge not just to her own life, but to an entire institution, forcing a conversation about what it truly means to serve, and at what cost. A quiet rebellion inside the royal walls. At the age of 35, Sadie Rice made a decision few could understand. She walked away from the heart of royal life to reclaim something she hadn't had in years, her own time. After years spent folding luxury garments, managing spotless rooms, and orchestrating the seamless flow of a family constantly under public scrutiny, Rice's departure in 2017 was more than just a career change. It was a quiet yet profound shakeup to an ancient system built on unspoken loyalty and seamless service.
We're responsible for the preparation and presentation of the whole palace. Visitors get the best experience possible when they get here.
When news of her resignation broke, Kensington Palace offered its usual polished response. "We cannot comment on the Duke and Duchess's private staff." It was a phrase designed to deflect attention, rooted in royal tradition. The workings of the palace staff, it seemed, were not for public consumption. But behind those doors, it was far from a small event. The royal household is a finely tuned machine, and losing someone like Sadie was not simply a matter of finding a replacement. Especially that summer, as Prince William and Duchess Catherine were settling into Kensington Palace, her exit was more disruptive than it first appeared.
Though they now live in Kensington Palace after transitioning into full-time royals most of their time during the pandemic.
Sadie wasn't just an employee. She was a trusted figure who had spent years understanding the family's needs and their daily routines. She knew when the children liked their snacks, how to fold the Duchess's linens just right. She was aware of the details that weren't written in any manual. These were insights born from lived experience. Her exit wasn't just a loss of hands, it was the loss of the quiet intelligence that made royal life appear effortless. What added to the disruption was that just months earlier, Rebecca Deacon, Catherine's trusted private secretary, had also stepped down after 5 years of service. 2 key members of the household had gone within the same year. Whether it was a coincidence or the start of deeper changes, the pattern couldn't be ignored. Behind the scenes at the palace, the response would have been swift. Intensive vetting, background checks, and training to replace what had been lost. But that knowledge, that rhythm, the unspoken cues of the household, couldn't be passed on overnight. And it's that kind of institutional knowledge that makes all the difference when a family lives under constant public pressure. Sadie's exit also brought rare attention to the human side of royal service. Former royal butler Grant Harold once shared that while the royal environment was formal and strict, off-duty, they were wonderfully warm and full of humor.
Someone who provides invaluable support to the royal family, enabling them to fulfill their duties and serve the nation.
His insight highlighted the nuances within the royal household. While those at the top may be kind and thoughtful, the system around them is often rigid. Unlike a butler, who might receive public recognition, a housekeeper like Sadie works quietly in the background, with no applause when things go right, only silence. Sadie's role was physically demanding and emotionally draining, requiring constant attention and self-sacrifice. The very success of her work was its invisibility. This isn't to suggest that Prince William and Catherine were poor employers. On the contrary, sources close to Sadie pointed out that her departure wasn't due to dissatisfaction with them. She didn't leave because of the people. She left because of the system. Even gracious employers are limited by the structures they work within. And that's the heart of Sadie's story. A quiet challenge to the very system that surrounds her. She didn't speak out publicly or seek to expose or embarrass anyone. But by simply walking away, she sparked a conversation that had long been kept behind closed doors.
Obviously, she's not going to be around to share any of the fun and excitement of it all.
Staff across royal households began to ask, is the prestige worth the personal cost? Can one serve the crown without sacrificing personal identity? These weren't just private musings, they marked a generational shift. Younger staff members, especially those entering royal service in recent years, had different expectations. They respected tradition, yes, but they also believed in mental health days, work-life balance, and setting emotional boundaries. This created a dilemma for the monarchy, which relied on the dedication of its staff. How could they uphold centuries-old standards while adapting to a modern workforce? William and Catherine, often seen as the bridge between old and new, seemed to understand this tension. They too were navigating their own changes. They were raising children under the public eye, balancing royal duties with relatable roles. They symbolized evolution. Yet, even they seemed to struggle with creating a workplace that balanced devotion with well-being. The brief media coverage surrounding Sadie's departure didn't ignite headlines or outrage, but it opened a rare window into the emotional cost of royal life. For a moment, the public caught a glimpse of the people who labor quietly behind the scenes, the ones who make royal life appear effortless, yet sometimes suffer in silence. Sadie Rice didn't write a memoir or give a tell-all interview, but her decision to walk away carried weight.
She realizes that he has what it takes.
It reminded us that no amount of prestige should come at the expense of one's peace. While the palace continues on as it always has, smooth, silent, and steeped in tradition, a small part of it changed the day she left. And what really happens when a royal insider walks away, not because of the people, but because of the system? Keep watching to find out. Life after the palace, reclaiming time. For Sadie, the transition wasn't without its challenges, but it also offered unexpected freedoms. After years of following rigid schedules dictated by royal needs, she suddenly found herself with days to shape as she wished. Having spent so long maintaining strict confidentiality about every aspect of her work, she could now speak more openly about her daily life. After years of subordinating her own needs to those of the Cambridge family, Sadie could finally focus on herself. Initial reports indicated that Sadie took some time to relax after leaving her royal position, prioritizing the family and friends she had been unable to spend time with while working for the royals. With her background and experience in prestigious households, employment opportunities were not lacking. Yet, she chose to be deliberate about her next steps. Although Sadie maintained discretion about the specific details of the Cambridge household, her decision to break her silence about the general working conditions sent a powerful message. Speaking through friends and trusted sources, she highlighted the unsustainable expectations placed on royal staff without betraying the family's privacy. Sadie's resignation wasn't about disliking the Duke and Duchess, as one source close to her clarified. It was about reclaiming the right to have a life beyond her job.
And that wouldn't have happened if she wasn't absolutely right.
This distinction is important. Sadie's story isn't one of revenge or scandal. It's the story of a person making a difficult choice in favor of their own well-being. The royal household eventually filled Sadie's position, as any institution would do when someone leaves. Life at Anmer Hall and Kensington Palace continued, with new routines and staff learning to navigate royal service. But something had changed. There was now a subtle yet significant shift in the understanding of the human cost of maintaining royal life. For Prince William and Duchess Catherine, losing someone like Sadie likely prompted reflection. Although palace sources never confirmed any official changes to staffing policies, the years following her departure saw fewer reports of high turnover in the Cambridge household. This could suggest that lessons were learned and adjustments were made. Sadie's story serves as a reminder that even within the most gilded of cages, people deserve lives of their own. What do you think about Sadie's decision to leave royal service? Was she right to prioritize her well-being? What would you do if your dream job slowly started to take over your entire life?
That dream, ambition, stuck with me for several years.
Share your thoughts in the comments below. And like this video if you found it interesting. Thanks for watching.